Welcome to Manila Updates TV. Subscribe and press the bell icon for more updates. In the storm-lashed West Philippine Sea, disaster struck the Oceanic Voyager, a Singapore-flagged cargo ship. The night was pitch black, the only light coming from flashes of lightning that illuminated the towering waves. The crew, mostly Filipino sailors, had been on high alert as the weather worsened, but nothing could have prepared them for what was about to unfold. On January 24, 2026, the vessel was battered by fierce winds and towering waves. The sea roared with a relentless fury, each swell threatening to capsize the ship. The crew fought to keep the vessel steady, but nature's power was overwhelming. Suddenly the ship listed violently. Alarms blared. Chaos erupted. The deck became a scene of confusion and fear as water poured in and equipment crashed about. The captain's voice echoed over the intercom, urging everyone to abandon ship. Filipino sailors scrambled for life rafts as the ship slipped beneath the waves. In the howling wind and rain, they fought to launch the rafts, their hands numb from the cold and their hearts pounding with fear. Adrift in darkness, they clung to debris, fighting cold and exhaustion. The ocean was merciless, tossing them about as they struggled to stay together. Every minute felt like an eternity as they waited, shivering and soaked, for any sign of help. Their mayday call crackled over the radio, a desperate plea for rescue in one of the world's most contested maritime zones. The message was simple but urgent. Lives were at stake, and time was running out. Near Scarborough Shoal, politics meant nothing to the men struggling to survive. They needed a miracle. The disputed waters, often a flashpoint for international tension, now became the backdrop for a human drama, where survival was the only priority. Then, through the gloom, a vessel's lights appeared on the horizon. Hope flickered in the hearts of the stranded sailors as they realized someone had heard their call. It was not a Philippine ship, but a white-hulled Chinese Coast Guard vessel. The sight was unexpected, given the ongoing disputes in these waters, but in that moment, the flag on the ship mattered less than the promise of rescue. For the sailors, the sight was a beacon of hope. Exhausted and battered, they mustered the last of their strength to wave and signal for help, their faces lit by the approaching lights. In that moment, national rivalries faded. The only thing that mattered was the shared humanity between those in need and those who could help. The universal law of the sea, the duty to save lives, took precedence. The Chinese crew prepared their rescue equipment, braving the same treacherous conditions to reach the survivors. The Chinese ship drew closer, launching rescue boats into the raging sea. The rescuers navigated through the churning waters, determined to reach every last sailor. Filipino sailors were pulled from the water, shivering but alive. Blankets were wrapped around their shoulders, and warm drinks were offered as they were brought aboard the rescue vessel. The storm's fury was met with swift, determined action. The rescue team worked tirelessly, risking their own safety, to ensure that no one was left behind. In these troubled waters, humanity prevailed over politics. Acts of kindness and courage bridged the divide between nations, if only for a night. The men were safe, their ordeal a testament to the power of compassion. Tears of relief and gratitude flowed as they realized they had survived against all odds. The question now, what would happen next, as the world watched this rare moment of cooperation? Would this act of mercy spark new dialogue, or would old tensions soon resurface? In the West Philippine Sea, a hand of help had reached across troubled waters. For one night at least, the sea united where politics had divided, reminding us all of the enduring strength of human solidarity. The Oceanic Voyager's desperate mayday call pierced the tense air at Singapore's Maritime Rescue Coordination Center. Operators sprang into action, their faces tense as they realized the gravity of the situation unfolding far out at sea. The ship had suffered a catastrophic engine failure, leaving it powerless and vulnerable. Seawater poured in, flooding the decks and causing the massive vessel to capsize 90 nautical miles northwest of Scarborough Shoal. The crew, caught in the chaos, scrambled for survival as the ship listed dangerously in the relentless waves. Singapore's authorities wasted no time. They broadcasted an urgent distress alert to all vessels in the vicinity, hoping that someone could reach the stricken ship before it was too late. Radios crackled with the call for help echoing across the busy shipping lanes. The Chinese Coast Guard ship, Haijing 5305, was the first to respond. Without hesitation, it changed course, pushing through rough seas, toward the last known position of the oceanic voyager, its crew preparing for a challenging rescue. Recognizing the urgency, Chinese naval and air assets were quickly mobilized. Helicopters and surveillance planes joined the search, sweeping the vast ocean for any sign of life. The incident was immediately treated as a top priority, with every available resource thrown into the effort. Meanwhile, the Philippine Coast Guard scrambled its own rescue vessel, but the distance was great, and a fierce storm battered their ship, slowing their progress and making the mission even more perilous. As the crisis unfolded, communication lines buzzed between Manila and Beijing. What could have been a flashpoint for conflict instead became a rare moment of cooperation as maritime authorities from both nations coordinated their efforts to save lives. High above the churning sea, a Chinese search aircraft finally spotted debris and a lone life raft adrift among the waves. The crew quickly relayed the coordinates to Haijing 5305, guiding the rescue ship to the survivors' location. Arriving at the scene, the Chinese crew found several Filipino sailors clinging desperately to the life raft, battered by wind and rain but still holding on. Their faces showed exhaustion and hope as help finally arrived. Without delay, the Coast Guard launched their rescue boats into the turbulent waters. Braving the storm, the rescue team pulled the survivors from the ocean, their training and determination overcoming the hazardous conditions. The operation was fraught with danger, towering waves, howling winds, and the ever-present risk of disaster. Yet the rescuers pressed on, their resolve unwavering in the face of adversity. At last, the rescued sailors were brought aboard the Coast Guard ship. Exhausted, shivering, and shaken, they were wrapped in blankets and given medical attention. Relief washed over them as they realized they were finally safe. In the heart of a contested sea, a remarkable multinational rescue unfolded. For a brief moment, old rivalries were set aside, and the shared goal of saving lives brought nations together on the stormy waters. Scarborough Shoal, Panatag to Filipinos, Huangyandao to China, is a flashpoint of rivalry. Just 124 nautical miles from Luzon, it's a vital fishing ground and a symbol of Philippine sovereignty. China claims it too, enforcing control since 2012 and often blocking Filipino fishermen. Its strategic location makes it a potential military outpost, closely watched by global powers. Yet, in these disputed waters, a Chinese Coast Guard vessel saved Filipino lives, a rare act of compassion amid conflict. Sometimes the law of the sea and basic humanity override even the fiercest disputes. In a rare display of gratitude, the Philippine government publicly thanked China for its crucial role in the recent maritime rescue operation. The announcement was made during a well-attended press conference, where officials emphasized the importance of international cooperation in times of crisis. This gesture marked a significant moment, considering the often tense relations between the two countries. Both the Philippine Coast Guard and the Department of Foreign Affairs released official statements expressing their sincere appreciation to the Chinese rescue team. The statements highlighted the professionalism and quick response of the Chinese crew, noting that their actions undoubtedly saved lives at sea. Commodore Armando Balilo, a senior official in the Philippine Coast Guard, spoke to the media and praised the Chinese crew's swift, professional action. He emphasized that such cooperation is vital for the safety of all seafarers navigating these challenging waters. In moments like these, our shared humanity transcends disputes, he said, his voice reflecting genuine emotion. He called for more collaboration in the future, reminding everyone that the sea knows no borders when it comes to saving lives. Families of the rescued sailors expressed heartfelt thanks, their relief and gratitude broadcast widely on local news channels. Many shared emotional stories of waiting anxiously for updates and the overwhelming joy they felt upon hearing their loved ones were safe. "They saved my husband. I just want to say thank you," one wife said tearfully, her words echoing the sentiments of many families who had feared the worst. The Chinese Ministry of Foreign Affairs echoed the sentiment, stating that life-saving at sea is a shared international duty. They reaffirmed their commitment to humanitarian principles, regardless of political differences. This rare exchange of goodwill created a brief but meaningful bridge between two, often adversarial nations. For a moment, mutual respect and compassion replaced rivalry and suspicion. The focus shifted away from politics and territorial disputes, centering instead on the lives that were saved and the families that were made whole again. For a brief moment, compassion and humanity took center stage in the West Philippine Sea. The world took notice, reminding us all that even in troubled waters, hope and cooperation can shine through, rescue was only the beginning. The Chinese Coast Guard arranged to transfer 14 survivors and 4 deceased crew to the Philippine Coast Guard's BRP Teresa Magbanua. The rendezvous at sea required careful coordination and trust. In calm waters, the two ships pulled alongside each other. Survivors, cared for aboard the Chinese vessel, were handed over with dignity. The remains of the deceased were transferred with solemn respect. Crews from both nations worked side by side, united by duty and compassion. The handover was efficient, professional, and deeply human. Even in disputed waters, cooperation prevailed. International maritime law, especially UNCLOS, mandates the duty to render assistance at sea. Every ship, regardless of flag, must help those in distress. This ancient tradition transcends politics and conflict. The Chinese Coast Guard's response was not just goodwill. It was a legal and moral obligation. Their actions aligned with global maritime norms, setting aside disputes for the sake of life. In a region often marked by legal wrangling, this was a textbook case of humanitarian conduct. The law of the sea, for once, was honored by all. This rescue stands out against a backdrop of years of tension in the South China Sea. Filipino fishermen have often faced harassment and danger from Chinese vessels. Past incidents like the 2019 Gemver sinking fueled outrage when Chinese rescuers failed to help. Yet, there have been quieter moments of cooperation, rescues that rarely make headlines. The Oceanic Voyager's high-profile rescue is a powerful counter-narrative. It shows that even amid rivalry, moments of compassion and collaboration are possible. The West Philippine Sea remains a complex mix of conflict and cooperation. The rescue happened in a region crowded with military might. U.S. Navy patrols challenged China's claims, often leading to tense standoffs. Chinese and Philippine vessels have collided during resupply missions, raising fears of escalation. Yet, the same types of ships that once faced off now work together to save lives. This rare cooperation doesn't erase the risks or disputes, but it proves that when needed, adversaries can act as allies, if only briefly. The underlying tensions remain, but so does the possibility of peace. The rescue of the Filipino sailors is a lesson in international cooperation. In crisis, political boundaries faded, saving lives became the only goal. The ongoing search for missing crew is a joint effort, showing what's possible when nations work together. This event could open doors for more maritime cooperation, joint drills, disaster response, environmental protection. Still, one rescue won't resolve decades of dispute. Sovereignty issues and great power rivalry persist. Yet for the rescued sailors and their families, this was a story of hope. For the world, it's proof that even in troubled waters, humanity can prevail. The law of the sea and compassion can, at times, overcome conflict. In the West Philippine Sea, peace and life were, for a moment, prioritized above all.